Hello, welcome back to the Breaking News Update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a very big lineup of news that I'd like to brief you all on today. So today's date is May 21st, 2025, and it's Wednesday. Lots of huge news coming out from this war today, guys. We're going to start off with a very big story coming out from the Kursk region of Russia, just over the border from the Sumy region in Ukraine. News story here on your screen. Russia threatens to take the city of Sumy, Ukraine, during Kursk admin meeting. Pavel Zolotaryov, head of the Glushkovsky district in Russia's Kursk region, told Russian leader Vladimir Putin that the Ukrainian city of Sumy should be annexed to Russian territory. So I've got a video clip I can show you guys, roughly about like a minute or so long. We have the Russian President Vladimir Putin visiting the Glushkovsky district in the Kursk region today during this regional administration meeting. And yeah, supposedly he was told by the head of the Glushkovsky district, Pavel Zolotaryov, that Russia should annex the city of Sumy, which is literally just over the border from the Kursk region. So this is something we have been warning about a lot in the past, that Russia may launch an attack into the Sumy and maybe Kharkiv regions of Ukraine. And we know that they want to create a buffer zone over there as well. So a very big possibility we could see a massive attack taking place in the Sumy region or maybe Kharkiv regions here soon. So we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Also, very big report today of a massive UAV drone attack onto Russia last night. I think Ukraine fired somewhere around 150 drones or so, multiple regions being targeted like Kursk region, Bryansk, Oriel, Tula, Kaluga region, Ryazan region, even Moscow was being attacked today as well. But particularly in the Oriel region, we have a very big report that a semiconductor plant was attacked and directly hit with at least one drone. This is an enterprise that supplies products to at least 19 enterprises of the Russian military-industrial complex. Okay, so heavily involved with Russia's military, and we have video footage and pictures coming out from there today. Lots of reports of explosions all across Russia last night. Even Ukraine was being attacked as well. I've got reports from both sides. Let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. Lots of news to cover here. We'll start off with Anton Gerashenko. Sumy must be ours, Putin was told during a meeting in Kursk region of Russia. Putin did not object. That's why Alexander Yevseyevich, if I'm saying that correctly, current governor, was elected. He also wants more. This is exactly how much Putin wants peace, wanting to seize another Ukrainian city. So yeah, I mean, obviously they're just joking here, right? But we know the Russians are very serious about taking over Ukraine. They want to continue on this invasion. I even have another statement later today coming out from Lavrov, just showing that Russia does not want peace. Very clear to see that, and even though they're joking, I'm sure most of us take this very seriously. Take a look at this.
Вы говорили об этом. Это буферная зона. Потому что я постоянно находился в Лужковском районе. Сейчас не мог поехать, потому что дроны, вот эта проблема. Все равно нужно отгонять немножко подальше. То, что вы говорили, мы вас полностью поддержим. Дай Бог здоровья, чтобы это сделать.
На сколько километров нужно отогнать?
Я думаю, вы суммы должны быть наши. И мы не можем жить вот это вот, как на полуострове. У нас должно быть побольше. Хотя бы сумма, это вот тут правильно. Но это, думаю, так. И с вами, как с главнокомандующим, мы ее победим, однозначно.
Поэтому Александр Евсеевич, он тоже не хочет все побольше.
Ну, правильно. Вы говорили об этом.
Okay, so you can see here at the point they start joking about taking over Sumy, everybody starts laughing and clapping their hands at the same time in support of taking over the city of Sumy. So very crazy, guys. Expect some sort of major attack coming into the Sumy region here soon. I think that could be coming next. Now from St. Javelin, Putin does not deny plans to occupy Sumy, according to Russian media. Now there's more information here talking about the statements that were coming out from that meeting. We just watched a clip. But I wanted to show you guys this information here too. So apparently Russian media coming out saying they have no plans to occupy Sumy. Now, what have we heard from the very start of this war? We heard that Russia was not going to attack Ukraine, and they eventually did, right? So Russia usually does the opposite of anything that they state that they're going to do. So that's why I let you guys know, expect some sort of attack onto Sumy here very soon. We even had a report, I think it was a couple days ago, I showed you guys some pictures coming out from the Sumy region as Ukraine had captured something like 5 or 6 Russian soldiers that were trying to cross over the border into the Sumy region. So, I mean, right now, they're already trying to attack Sumy as it is. Now let's move on to these drone attacks taking place inside of Russia last night. This is from Max 24, UAV's attack on Russia and temporarily occupied Crimea. So yeah, not only Russia was being attacked last night, but we even had Crimea being attacked as well. I'm not sure exactly if there was any hits down there. The only confirmed strike that I know of was in the Ural region today with that semiconductor plant that would be right here in this region. You can see a lot of the drones that were flying this direction. Even Voronezh saw a few drones, excuse me. Some of these other regions over here, Tambov and Penza regions, also being attacked last night. But we're mainly going to talk about Ural today. Here's that report about the semiconductor devices plant. This is from the Ukrainian Review. AFU hit the Bolkov semiconductor devices plant located in the Ural region. According to the General Staff, the enterprise supplies products to at least 19 enterprises of the Russian military-industrial complex related to the production of, in particular, Sukhoi aircraft, Iskander, and Kinzhal missiles. Okay, so this coming out from Ukraine's General Staff today, showing a picture that appears to show fires that have broke out over here very close to this facility, and I know for sure it was directly hit. We've got confirmation of that today. So now for more translated. Ukrainian drones targeted Russian territory last night. The strike hit a key microelectronics plant in the Ural region, whose products are used in communication systems, command and control, electronic warfare, and simulators for tank and missile systems. Additionally, following explosions in the Tula region, disruptions to mobile communications and internet services were reported. So we've got a minute-long clip, guys. At the very end of this, you are going to hear a direct strike, and the people recording this actually knew exactly what the drones were targeting. They said factory at the very end. Pay attention to this.
Ой-ой. Это там что-то.
Завода, что ли?
Завод, звук завода, либо теплицы бьют. Ой, блядь. Там видно что-нибудь?
Сейчас. По церкви ебали.
По церкви?
Ну, все.
Тихо, 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 летит, сейчас взрыв будет. Дед. Летит. Вот он, смотри, дед, сюда. Блядь, главное не к нам, пожалуйста. Тихо, 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 блядь. Он летит. Это не наша. Наш там. Сейчас взрыв будет, дед.
Смотри, это, по-моему, на завод.
Это уже какой-то 8-й. Все нахуй.
Okay, so we can see here based on what these two individuals are talking about here, looks like a woman and her grandfather standing outside recording this, and this incoming drone strikes that factory directly, and she confirmed it right in the end. She said, oh, it's the factory that's being hit. So I'm thinking most likely that is the Ural semiconductor plant being hit there in the video. So now from Victoria, Ukraine has taken out Russian factories that produce electronics for the Russian military without harming a single worker. Meanwhile, Russia continues to brutally injure and kill Ukrainian civilians. Different values, different methods. Orlov region. So here's the picture coming out of this plant that was directly hit. There's a video and pictures that I can show you guys. The direct top of it was struck, but it looks like we had a drone striking the side over here and catching on fire. Now from Max 24, more footage of damage to the Bolkov semiconductor devices plant in Ural region. Okay, so I've got two videos I can show you guys here up close. You're going to see massive damage here in pictures as well. Let's start off with this first one here.
Капец, как горит.
Листы, вон, глянь, все падает. Вон, да, иди. Какой падает? Вон, это все, это как... Ветер поднимется, и здесь на домах унесет.
All right, perfect strike on this semiconductor facility. We can see a direct hit on the top of this building on fire and burning to the ground. I'm not sure if this thing continued burning. I mean, there's no emergency services or anything showing up yet, so this probably happened. This video is probably taken soon after the direct strike on that building. So I've got another video coming up now. All right, so this definitely appears to be some sort of research facility. We can see over here on these tables there's a bunch of these microscopes set up as well. Okay, so allegedly this is a strike on this semiconductor plant that produces equipment and products for Russia's military. So for their fighter jets, for their Iskander missiles, direct ties to Russia's military. A couple pictures as well showing damage to the side of the building here. You can see all the debris everywhere, and we can see also when these drones went off, we can see all the shrapnel damage to the side of the building as well. So it looks like one of these drones even striking the side of the building, and it probably got hit multiple times, maybe 2 or 3 times. So pretty crazy news. Now from Slava, Moscow is under attack by good drones right now. The sky over the Russian capital is completely closed. Russian media is writing about drones heading towards the Kremlin. They are flying in the right direction. All right, guys, 23-second clip. We've got drones in the skies heading towards Moscow this morning. Take a look.
У нас не взорвали. Ну все уже пролетел. Пидорасы, блядь. О, попал, да. Бля, нихуя себе. У нас не взорвали.
All right, so I wasn't able to confirm whether any of these drones were striking inside of Moscow or maybe if they got taken down, but definitely had more drones heading over to Moscow again today. And remember, just last week or so, a week or two ago, prior to the Victory Day parade going on in Russia, we had repeated attacks for like 3-4 days in a row, massive amount of drones, 200, 300, 400 drones a night. So it looks like Ukraine's still putting the pressure on Moscow today and attacking it earlier this morning. Now from LX Summer 1, Stavropol, Russia. Today, a powerful explosion occurred in a multi-story residential building on Tukovshevsky Street. After a fire started, according to preliminary data, household gas was the cause. One person was injured and taken to the hospital. Yeah, so I don't think this was a result of any strike or anything from Ukraine, but take a look up here. You're going to see an explosion in this area right there. Bam. Looks like some sort of gas explosion. And this is something I've seen multiple times happening inside of Russia, especially in high-rise buildings. What's going on over there? I mean, this is more indication to me that Russia's spending all their money on this war, and they're not spending money on, upkeeping infrastructure inside of Russia, because we've had lots of gas explosions taking place in apartments across Russia over the past few months. So pretty insane news coming out from there today. Let's move on to another update now from NOAA Reports. Yesterday, an occupied Severodonetsk, if I'm saying that correctly, sorry guys, Russia's arrived for humanitarian aid, but were met with a HIMARS strike. Target 385th Artillery Brigade Center Group, 6 Russian servicemen were killed. So take a look at this, guys. I think these are like Kamaz trucks, Russian military trucks that are used for transport. Here's a direct strike from a HIMARS rocket. And it looks like they completely wiped out this whole unit from the 385th Artillery Brigade. So it says here 6 Russian servicemen were killed in this HIMARS strike, okay, in Severodonetsk. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I believe this is inside of Ukraine, like eastern Ukraine. Now from Max 24, Ukrainian drone crashed into a locomotive at the Valuki sorting station in Belgorod region on May 19th. Okay, so 2 days ago, we've got a video here of a drone directly attacking a Russian locomotive. Take a look at this.
Вот он. Оба.
All right, so crazy video right here. It might be a little hard to see, but this locomotive right over here gets directly struck from a Ukrainian drone. And Ukraine has attacked a lot of train stations inside of Russia previously. This is in the Belgorod region, up near northeastern Ukraine, just over the border from the Kharkiv region in Ukraine. So it looks like a massive hit here over on a Russian locomotive, and we know that Russia's train stations and their trains in general inside of Russia, all their train tracks and everything are heavily strained right now. They're having a lot of issues, and many of them being destroyed a lot of times too. A lot of partisans inside of Russia and part of Ukraine's GUR as well. Their intelligence directorate had been carrying out strikes and destroying a lot of locomotives, catching them on fire and whatnot. Some more attacks on trains inside of Russia. Now from NOAA Reports, confirmed Russia launched a missile strike on a training range in Sumy region. 6 Ukrainian soldiers were killed, over 10 wounded. Ukraine's National Guard reports that a unit commander has been suspended. Previously, Russian sources published footage of the actual strike. Okay, so I actually missed this information. I'm guessing this came out over the last few days, but now it's being confirmed that Russia did carry out a missile attack on a training range in the Sumy region. and we had 6 Ukrainian soldiers that were killed, over 10 wounded. This was the report coming out today. Looks like that has been confirmed here according to no report. So sad news there for Ukraine. Now from UA Voyager, this is what Sumy looked like last night. This is how the terrorist state Russia reacts to the West's weakness and Trump's flirting. This is what Ukraine's support from its allies feels like. Here's a picture coming out yesterday in the Sumy region. Since we were talking about that towards the beginning of this video, looks like we had a fire breaking out, probably due to a Russian drone attack, as I know there was well over 100 drones from the Russia side going into Ukraine last night. So very sad, more civilian infrastructure being destroyed. Now from the Ukrainian Review, in Kupiansk, Vuzlovy, a man was killed and 2 women were injured as a result of Russian glide bomb strike. Kharkiv State Emergency Service said two more women were injured during the shelling of Kupiansk. The entrance to a 3-story building was destroyed. I mean, take a look at this, guys. More civilian infrastructure inside of Ukraine just being hammered out and destroyed from Russian glide bombs. And this is the city of Kupiansk, and Kupiansk gets hit by glide bombs almost every single day. I feel like anytime we do talk about Kupiansk, it's usually not drones attacking this city. This is actually glide bomb striking it, okay? So, yeah, in the Kharkiv region, guys, Kupiansk getting hit hard again. Very sad news there. Now from NOAA reports, a fire broke out at the Bila Serkva, thermal power plant in Ukraine. Okay, so massive fire over here also inside of Ukraine at a thermal power plant. This is not good news because we know Ukraine is struggling when it comes to electricity right now. That is good news, though, that at least things are starting to warm up over there, so the Ukrainians won't be using as much electricity as they probably will during the winter time to try to stay warm. But nonetheless, we did have a fire breaking out over here. I have no idea what the details on this are. Was this Russia carrying out a strike over here, or was it some sort of sabotage? We don't really know all the details yet, but I wanted to show you that picture coming out today. Thermal power plant on fire inside of Ukraine. Now from Anton Yushchenko, Lavrov said that Russia would not agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine without preconditions. That's why now when they tell us, let's have a truce and then we'll see. No, guys, we've already been in these situations. We don't want that anymore. Russia's playing for time. So Lavrov basically coming out and stating here that they're not going to agree to a truce with Ukraine. That means no ceasefire is coming. Take a look at this.
Поэтому сейчас, когда нам говорят, вот давайте перемирие, а там посмотрим. Нет, ребята, мы уже были в этих историях, мы так больше не хотим, и Макроны, Стармеры, фон дер Ляйены и прочие деятели Европы, которые сейчас истерично требуют от Соединенных Штатов присоединиться к антироссийским действиям и нарастить количество санкций, это просто их выдает с головы. Поэтому сейчас, когда нам говорят...
All right, so statements like this already confirm for me even further that Russia is not ready to end this war. I mean, I've been telling you guys that for a while now. I don't think Russia's going to end this. I think they want to continue on this invasion into Ukraine, and more statements like this coming out today proving that even further. Now from Anton Yushchenko, the authorities of the so-called DPR have announced plans to turn the cities of Donetsk region destroyed by the Russians into museums. According to the head of the DPR, Denis Pushilin, the territories of such cities as Avdiivka, Volodar, Bakhmut, etc. are planned to be preserved to show them to the tourists, as these heroic cities will cause their attention. Russians want to preserve evidence of their war crimes. Isn't that crazy, guys? I mean, I've been asking this question as well. You know, what is Russia going to do with all these cities that have been absolutely battered and destroyed? They want to turn them into museums. Okay, so what's the point in going and taking over all this territory, and in the end, you just turn it into a museum for the locals to come and look at, you know, all the crimes that Russia's committed and destroying all these cities over here in eastern Ukraine? I mean, just absolutely insane information coming out today. I wanted to share that with you. That was actually a video from the Donetsk region. Now from Special Kirsten Cat, Andriy Portnov, ex-aide to ousted Ukrainian President Yanukovych, was shot dead in Madrid, according to Spanish police. Portnov fled Ukraine after the 2014 Euromaidan revolution and later resurfaced in Europe. He was considered as a traitor for his role in backing Moscow-aligned politics and supporting Russian narratives. After Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, authorities launched multiple investigations against him, including charges of treason. Okay, so Andriy Portnov here, yes, he was murdered today in Spain. Not sure exactly who murdered him yet, but apparently he did have some connections to Russia, and he was an ex-aide to the ousted Ukrainian president Yanukovych. And Yanukovych, I think, was president in Ukraine during 2010 to 2014. So yeah, crazy news coming out today, but he was murdered. I think he was shot multiple times in Spain today. So insane news coming out. This is a picture of him right here. Now from NOAA reports, you teamed up with Trump to throw the Ukrainian people under the bus. Putin is playing you like a fiddle. Senator Chris Van Hollen clashed with Secretary of State Marco Rubio during Senate hearings, accusing the Trump admin of failing to stop the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. I regret voting for you. Van Hollen ended his statement. So major statement coming out here from Senator Chris Van Hollen today while he was speaking to Secretary of State Marco Rubio yesterday. And they were holding a briefing talking about the Ukraine war, talking about Gaza as well. And he's got a pretty fiery statement here. Take a look at this.
Matter. And while you've turned away from a genocide in Sudan and invented one in South Africa, you teamed up with President Trump to throw the Ukrainian people under the bus and have been played like a fiddle by Vladimir Putin. Of course, Donald Trump not only said he would end the war in Ukraine on day one, he also said he would end the war in Gaza on day one. And yet last week, you were all running around to Gulf states, giving away very sensitive American AI and ships technology, but doing nothing to end the war in Gaza and get the remaining hostages returned. You know that for 78 days, the Netanyahu government did not allow a scrap of food to enter Gaza to reach over 2 million civilians. 57 children have died from malnutrition so far, and more than 14,000 children are in imminent danger of dying of starvation. Matter.
All right, so insane statement here from U.S. Senator Van Hollen calling out the Trump administration on their lack of being able to end these wars inside of Ukraine and also in Gaza. I mean, from the very beginning, we've been hearing that Trump was going to end these wars, and they're still going on right now. And if anything, the only thing that Trump is really trying to do to end these wars is more side with Vladimir Putin, at least in terms of Ukraine. And then when it comes to Israel, he has a point here where he says that Trump was heading around all over the Middle East, giving out all kinds of business deals and whatnot, but not really focusing on trying to end these wars. And I've got more bad information today from the Trump administration. It looks like they are not serious about being involved in these negotiations anymore, and I've been warning about that. So here's another one from Military News UA. U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley, Putin has kidnapped thousands of children to brainwash and Russify them, to destroy their cultural heritage. This is a moral outrage. I introduced a bipartisan resolution today calling for the return of these children before a peace agreement is finalized. So this is huge too. I mean, we know that a lot of Ukrainian children were abducted, especially towards the start of this war whenever the Russians invaded into Ukraine. So he's calling for a bipartisan resolution to have all these children returned back to Ukraine before a peace agreement can even be finalized. So we'll see if he actually puts that forth into Congress, and if they pass it, that's a very big start there to get a lot of these Ukrainian children that have been abducted by the Russians back into Ukraine. Okay, so we can see some U.S. senators do stand on the side for Ukraine. Now from the Ukrainian Review, it's not my problem. This is Trump's new position on the war in Ukraine, and it was voiced after a conversation with Putin, according to the New York Times. Russia and Ukraine must find a solution to the war themselves. Trump to Zelensky and EU leaders. He abandoned his promise to join the European pressure campaign on Russia through new strong sanctions. Here's a report today from the New York Times. Trump's new position on the war in Ukraine, not my problem. In a reversal, President Trump appears to have backed off joining a European push for new sanctions on Russia, seemingly eager to move on to doing business deals with it. It's not crazy, guys. So Trump's more focused on getting business deals struck with Russia. I guess he realized he can't end this war, but basically abandoning Ukraine, not going to be willing to slam Russia with sanctions, which a lot of people would say is the right thing to do, and punish Russia for invading Ukraine to begin with. So just more bad news here coming out from the Trump administration, still siding with Russia. Now not wanting to be involved in trying to end this war is what it's looking like more and more every single day. I really think very soon we're going to hear that the Trump administration is pulling out of negotiations. Now from Max 24, in a subsequent call with European leaders, Trump signaled that he was convinced Russia was winning, repeating a number of Kremlin's talking points, according to people familiar with the exchange, according to Bloomberg. Okay, so this was probably just the other day after the phone call on Monday with Putin and Trump. Apparently, he spoke to European leaders and Zelensky at the same time, and according to Bloomberg, they're stating here that Trump was saying he was convinced that Russia's winning and repeating a number of the Kremlin's talking points as it states here. So Again, guys, more signs here. Trump is falling back over to the Russian side. Looks like he's just going to pull out of these negotiations, leave Ukraine hanging with only the Europe to back them, and on top of that, not going to sanction Russia and going to begin doing business deals with Russia now. So very big change of events here. Now from Special Kirsten Cat, Politico reports the U.S. is opposed to including further support for Ukraine in a G7 statement that is being hashed out by finance ministers in Canada. Washington is also reluctant to describe Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine as illegal in the text. Okay, so this is not surprising either. I think very soon as well, we're going to hear that the U.S. is not going to be sending any more support, aid to Ukraine. And we know that by this summer, I think maybe as soon as like June possibly, the Biden administration's military aid that was all passed during his presidency is going to run out. And we're not hearing anything from the U.S. so far in terms of new aid for Ukraine. We've already heard months back from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, that they were not going to be passing any more military aid. So just another statement coming out that no more aid to Ukraine is coming here very soon. And something that I wanted to add real quick as well is we had a report that came out last night talking about Israel, that they might go after Iran's nuclear facilities very soon. And I'm going to do a video on that later today if I can. I wonder if maybe the U.S. realizes they're going to get caught up in a potential war with Iran very soon. Maybe this is also why they're pulling out. I mean, look at the timing here. Very soon, the U.S. and Israel are expected to attack Iran's nuclear sites if they don't reach a nuclear deal, and so far they have not been able to do that. So it's something I want to note in there as well. Maybe it could be due to the timing on that as well. The U.S. going to get caught up in the Middle East. Now from NOAA reports, next direct Ukraine-Russia talks may include the U.S. and EU per European Commission spokeswoman Paula Pino. Ukrinform reports, after a Trump-Putin call, the U.S. briefed European leaders agreeing on the needs for talks with Ukraine involving Europe and America. Okay, so if we do happen to see more talks between Ukraine and Russia, it may include the U.S. and the EU also in these talks. So that was according to the European Commission spokeswoman Paula Pino. So that's some interesting news. I mean, so far we're kind of seeing an indication that the U.S. might start pulling out of these talks, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but that's apparently what the spokeswoman stated here from the European Commission, is the U.S. and EU might get involved in these talks next. Now for NOAA reports, exclusive, Ukraine urges EU to adopt tougher Russia sanctions, including asset seizures and oil buyer penalties. As Trump retreats from further measures, Kyiv wants the EU to lead as Washington's stance grows uncertain. Here's a report today from Reuters exclusive. Ukraine pitches tougher Russia sanctions plan to EU as US waivers. Okay, so we're seeing the US pulling back, not willing to sanction Russia. Ukraine's now calling on the EU to slam Russia with sanctions and do whatever they can to pick up the weight of whatever the US is not doing right now. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very unhappy with the Trump administration and the decisions that they're making, not willing to support Ukraine and hammer Russia with these sanctions, even when multiple times Trump called for Russia to agree to a 30-day ceasefire. Ukraine has already done this, but Russia refuses to. So clearly here, it's very obvious that Russia, at the end of the day, does not want to end this war, and Ukraine is open to at least a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. Now for the Ukrainian Review, U.S. Senate's ready to vote on sanctions bill against Russia if no progress soon, says U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham. Okay, so looks like we could be hearing some talks from the Senate very soon to vote on this bill to sanction Russia. This is the whole 500% secondary tariffs onto any countries that purchase Russian oil or products from Russia. I'm not sure if it's just oil alone, but I know oil is a big part of it, and that could definitely slam Russia's economy very hard and force them to end this war if they can't even sell oil to many different countries. So we'll see if the Senate picks up that bill here very soon and votes on it. Now from Max 24, Peskov said the decision on the location of the next talks between Ukraine and Russia has not yet been made. The list of conditions for a ceasefire in Ukraine will be separate. An agreement on this was reached in Istanbul. So there's a statement coming out from the Kremlin today, Peskov stating that they have not agreed the next location between talks with Ukraine and Russia. They don't know when that's coming yet. And apparently they're still working on giving over a list of conditions for a ceasefire over to Ukraine. We haven't heard any news on that yet, but just statements coming out from Peskov today. Now for Max 24, M1 Abrams with dynamic protection and service with the 47th Motorized Rifle Brigade. So I'm going to show you guys this, guys. Take a look at this picture. We actually got several here of the Abrams tank that comes from the U.S. that's been transferred over to Ukraine. Look at all that armor that's been attached to this, even got a cage on the top of it to protect it from drone attacks. So it looks like the Ukrainians are using these Abrams tanks. We heard probably like 6 months ago or something that these Abrams were just basically rust buckets. They weren't really very useful on the battlefield. But apparently, at least according to this information, the 47th Motorized Rifle Brigade is using these, and they've definitely upgraded them a lot as well. So now for Knoll reports, 2/3 of the 2 million artillery shells pledged by the EU for Ukraine by the end of 2025 have already been secured, says Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha after meeting EU's High Representative Kaja Kallas. Work continues to close the final third. Talks also covered Ukraine's EU accession. Okay, so statement coming out from the Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha out of Ukraine that 2/3 of the 2 million artillery shells that the EU pledged for Ukraine have already been secured. So that's very good news. I think they're getting something like 2 to 3 million a year just from the West. So that is a lot of artillery shells compared to just even a year ago. I remember Ukraine was just consistently complaining that they did not have enough artillery shells. They were struggling to hold the Russians back. Now they've got a lot of shells. They've got a lot of drones. I mean, they've got everything. And think about this, just every day that goes by, Ukraine is getting stronger and stronger, especially with the help from the EU. Now for Max 24, France will transfer 6 modern Rokus robotic demining systems to Ukraine. These were developed by Estonia's Milram Robotics and France's CNIM Systems Industrials. The drones enable remote detection, verification, and neutralization of threats. So check these out, guys. These are called Rokus robotic demining systems. So they can use these to demine inside of Ukraine, and that's obviously a very big problem. I mean, I'm sure there's mines everywhere. Demining operations is a very big thing inside of Ukraine, and they're going to have to do that, especially if this war comes to an end. They're going to have to remove all these mines that have been placed all over the battlefield inside of Ukraine. So new news coming out from France today. Now from Geo Insider just in, Polish Prime Minister says a Russian ship carried out suspicious maneuvers near a key undersea power cable to Sweden. The incident triggered a swift response from the Polish military, forcing the vessel to retreat to a Russian port. Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz confirmed the cable belongs to Polish grid operator PSE but remains operational. Patrol flight was launched and a specialized Navy vessel, ORP Helios, if I'm saying that right, sorry guys, was sent to the scene. High-level security meeting between the Prime Minister Donald Tusk is set for Thursday in I don't know how to say that, guys. Nia, I'll just call it Nia or Gdynia. The 600 megawatt cable linking Karlshamn, Sweden, and Uska, Poland, is a vital part of regional energy security. So my apologies; these are kind of difficult to pronounce. But yeah, apparently some sort of Russian ship was making some very odd maneuvers over a cable that connects from Sweden to Poland. So yeah, not good news here. And it looks like they were able to get the Russian vessel to retreat to a Russian port. So another big sign here that Russia could be trying to attack undersea cables in the Baltic Sea. We know that the Baltic nations and NATO has just really been monitoring that area like crazy and also intercepting a lot of ships that could be tied to Russia's shadow fleet. So not good news today. We'll probably do a separate video on that today. Now for Clash Report. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Poland has no intention of sending troops to Ukraine. This is a final decision. Yeah, this was stated yesterday by Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister. So they're choosing to stay out of being involved with the European contingent deployed to Ukraine. They're not going to be sending any troops. They have ruled that out as of yesterday. Now from Nexta, France sends surveillance ship to monitor Russian shadow tankers in the Baltic. For the first time, the French Navy has deployed the 101-meter-long intelligence ship Dupuy de l'Homme to the Baltic Sea. The mission's goal is to intercept radio signals related to Russian activities, including monitoring shadow tankers involved in circumventing sanctions. Okay, so while we're talking about the Baltic Sea as well, France could be sending a surveillance ship over there to monitor Russia's shadow tankers. So it looks like NATO's really stepping up big in the Baltic Sea. They're really heavily monitoring it right now, watching all these Russian tankers. Maybe they're going to be getting ready to snag a lot of these Russian tankers that still try to go to Russian ports that have been sanctioned in the recent package that just was unveiled yesterday on the 20th, the EU 17th sanctions package that sanctioned up to almost 200, I think, Russian vessels that are used to circumvent sanctions and still transport oil around the world. That's Russia's shadow fleet. So very big news out of the Baltic Sea from France there. Now, for more translated, Russia's begun using new kamikaze drones to select targets and carry out strikes without operator involvement. These drones can fly up to 100 kilometers from the front line, are equipped with cameras and computer vision, operate without GPS, and are independently decide when and where to strike. They don't distinguish between military equipment and a civilian bus. Their gasoline engine only increases their operational range. In essence, it's a weapon that sees and kills on its own. Okay, this is very scary. So this is a drone that can make its own decisions, guys. I mean, take a look at these pictures here. Here's a part of one of the computer chips on board, or the one of the the motherboards or something like that they found. And yeah, these are drones that apparently can independently decide when and where to strike. So that's not good news. So I mean, we just had a bus in the Sumy region that was directly struck. I think it was a Russian Lancet drone that struck that thing. But, you know, imagine if this thing can make its own decisions, it's just going to go after whatever targets it really wants to, and more indication that the Russians really want to terrorize the civilians of Ukraine and kill many of them. Just, again, more indication of Russian war crimes. Now, from the Ukrainian Review, Trump did not betray Europe. He betrayed himself, says German Defense Minister Pistorius. I think he simply misjudged the situation in the negotiations with Putin, or overestimated his strength as the American president, he said. In my opinion, the first mistake was made at the very beginning when he essentially excluded the issue of Ukraine's membership in NATO from the negotiations and recognized Russia's territorial claims. This cannot be done, especially before the negotiations themselves begin. This is a very bad starting position for further peace or ceasefire negotiations, said Pistorius. So very well said here by Boris Pistorius, the German defense minister. He stated that Trump did not betray Europe, he betrayed himself. So I mean, yeah, we're really seeing Trump just siding with the Russians here when many people agree that Trump should be siding with Ukraine. Ukraine was attacked by Russia, and Russia should have never invaded them. So just huge statement coming out today. Let me know what you guys think about what he has to say in regards to Donald Trump. Now, a few more updates before we get you guys out of here from Max 24. Ukrainian Air Defense shot down 63 out of 76 Russian UAVs, including 22 by air defense and 41 suppressed by electronic warfare. All right, so we had a total of 76 Russian UAVs going into Ukraine last night, and it looks like they brought down almost all of them. You can see here 63 out of 76 being shot down, and this shows that Ukraine is getting better and better every day. I think it was yesterday we had like almost a 90% success rate of the amount of drones being shot down in Ukraine. Today looks like about close to that same number, I'd say. We've been seeing usually about half or so being destroyed over the past few months, but definitely this week, lots of higher numbers of destruction of Russian drones entering Ukraine. Now from the Kyiv Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of May 21st, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In our final update of the day, Russia's losses as of May 21st, 980 troops, 2 AFVs, 76 vehicles and fuel tanks, 1 tank, 23 artillery systems, 71 UAVs, 1 special equipment. Okay, guys, so once again, these numbers just continue to fall off the cliff, and it's very interesting because, again, I've been mentioning to you guys almost every day this week, we're expecting the Russians to launch an offensive. So why are these numbers not going up? This makes me think that Russia's not launching a whole lot of attacks right now, and maybe they're building up their forces for one large, massive wave to hit Ukraine. That's the only thing that I can think of. I mean, you guys let me know what you think, why these numbers are just completely tapering off. I mean, even troop numbers not even hitting 1,000 today. Vehicles and fuel tanks usually like 150 or more, only 76. And look at these tank and AFV numbers, just 1 and 2. I mean, these are some of the smallest numbers we've seen. And it's been very consistent over the last week or two. So let me know what you guys think on why these numbers might be dropping so much. Definitely a lot of explanation here that needs to be dug into to figure out what's going on. So let me know what you guys think about all these details today, though, guys. I want to thank you very much for tuning in for today's update on May 21st, 2025. I do apologize. It was a much longer update today, but there's so much news coming out. I wanted to cram in as much as I could for you guys, and I hope you got something out of this. If you did, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.